east. I'm going to go 50. Will you let me know if this changes speed? But I'm going to go 50.
Okay.
This is moving faster than the rotation, so it's 50. The rotation is moving about 35. That's typical in this type of situation. Steelville, about 7 minutes. I keep mentioning viburnum. You're at about 11 minutes. There's viburnum right there. I mean, it's coming in quickly. Steelville, coming in quickly.
You were looking for the speed on the severe thunderstorm warning?
Yeah.
Okay, 1 moment.
And let me know if it's different than 50
Okay.
significantly, and I'll redraw the line. The track. Bunker, about 19 minutes. Camp Lakewood now down to 32 minutes. Caledonia, and then Potosi. So Crawford, Washington County is this area south of St. Louis. And I'll zoom out and show you the bigger picture here in a minute. But I really like to get the detailed specifics of who's hit. Hey, look, if I'm not mentioning your town and you've got a thunderstorm, that's a really good thing. That means you have an ordinary thunderstorm and nothing severe right now. I haven't mentioned anything in the metro as of yet. I do think the risk for the stronger storms is going to be just south of St. Louis, but we certainly could get a severe storm creeping up into the metro. And one thing I want to watch is these isolated cells, like this guy right here, that's out ahead of that bow echo I was telling you about. So I'm going to just take some time to kind of analyze. It's one of the things I have this workstation over here so I can kind of stay with you on air, but also analyze, because I haven't seen the radar data. I need to check in on the Doppler winds and see if there's rotation. Okay, so on the cell would be right around Richwoods. No rotation. There it is. Nope, no rotation. In between Richwoods, and that's DeSoto. This is Jefferson County, and that's Washington County. This one does have some rotation, and that one is just southwest of Sullivan. Did you say Sullivan's on input 2?
Sullivan's on 2.
There it is. So this is from Missouri Baptist Sullivan Hospital. We're looking
southwest.
Southwest. So we're looking at that storm cell.
So I can go left a little bit here.
Sure, I appreciate that.
See if we see anything interesting.
Yeah. And keep an eye on it, and if you see something lowering, that's what we're looking for, by the way. It's probably a little too far away right now or shrouded in rain, but what we're looking for is kind of a lowered base. And if you see that, that would be an updraft, air going up into the storm. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to see, can you see any rotation with it? Don't see any of that. Not on the BJC Skycam, but we do see on radar. As Kristen continues to take a look at that, I'm going to go back to the radar. So there's the storm coming into Sullivan. There's Sullivan right there. This is Interstate 44. Cuba's already been hit. And this storm has some weak rotation in it. And I don't see a real strong case for a tornado warning out of this. But what I do see is that rotation can help create large hail. So there might be some quarter size or larger hail coming out of this. And it does have actually, severe thunderstorm warning on that has expired. So that's good news. I think this warrants watching, definitely more so than this one right now. But these little guys out ahead of the main bow echo, they can turn severe. Is that a new
It's a severe
warning?
thunderstorm warning for outside of our area.
Well, something is in our area because I saw Crawford and Washington
hang on.
pop in there. Basically what I saw was this. And what they might be doing is saying, hey, we had this warned to the south.
Severe thunderstorm warning for Crawford and Washington.
Yeah. So it's basically saying, hey, the northern part of Crawford, and here's Washington counties, we want you to be warned because you're in the northern flank of that bow echo.
I'm looking at 2 different chats here. So there was nothing
No
in
worries.
Springfield, but we have that one out of the St. Louis office. And I do want to mention with that severe thunderstorm warning, they are messaging maximum wind gust to 70 miles per hour, giving you that considerable tag, and also that tornado possible tag as well.
Okay, and that's going to be the new one, right? That for northern Crawford?
The new one, northern Crawford and Washington County, until 4:30.
Phelps County, by the way, here's some good news. No reports of significant damage or injuries. We have had some reports of trees down. So we know that this storm has some strong winds. Maybe it was a tornado. Radar indicated at this point. We can't tell. All we know is we've had some reports of trees down. Around Licking is where some of the damage is. And we haven't had any reports of kind of high-end significant damage. We haven't had any reports of structures damaged at this point, which is really good news. And we haven't heard any reports of injuries. So just kind of, and I'm going to get back to tracking where that rotation is coming into Raleigh. I know folks in Raleigh are probably worried that we've been away from you too long. Let me just quickly say, see that considerable tag? That's the threat for up to 70-mile-an-hour winds, and that's that northern part of Crawford and Washington counties. Let's get back to the tornado warning. Got almost 32,000 people in that warning, and I'm going to switch over to the Doppler winds, try and pinpoint for you where that rotation is, and it looks like it has kind of scooted just on the west side. It's really weakened, and now north of Rolla. Real quick, I'm going to check the Doppler winds here from, and that's not going to give me a good view, but that's from Springfield. So it's gotten close enough that I'm going to rely on the St. Louis radar at this point. Okay, at this point too, the Doppler winds are showing me that this rotation is much weaker and north of Rolla. So while that tornado warning continues, this thing has really fallen apart north of Rolla around 63. Anywhere north of Rolla, I still think you want to be in your safe shelter. Give it a few more minutes. Anywhere from Rolla to the south, you're in the clear as far as coming up. You still might have some strong winds in the area, and so, don't head outside. You got thunder, you got lightning, you got big old nasty storm in the area, but as far as the rotation goes, that's the good news. Here is the lightning in that area too. And yeah, I just don't see any significant rotation out of this anymore. I'm going to go backwards in time. Yeah, that's where it was really strong. Here, let me show you. I went backwards in time, right here. That's where we're popping on the air. And now this thing is right here north of Rolla. So folks in Rolla, we've been with you the whole time. We've had 34,000 at one time people in the warning. We're going to pop back onto the live stream and get you back to programming on Channel 4. We're going to pop in here frequently, though, with more updates. And, of course, just know that if we get a new tornado warning, just like that, we'll be on and keep you posted. Have a safe afternoon. Okay, anyone who is watching the live stream, we were on air for quite a bit, too. So now we're on the live stream exclusively, but we'll pop back in on Channel 4. I'm going to get a sip of water. That's got to be one of those little guys that was out ahead of the main line. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so we just got kind of done dissecting that tornado warning, the rotation really weakening around Rolla. Now there's a new severe thunderstorm warning right here. All these yellow boxes down to the south are for one storm. So I know it looks messy, but I'm going to kind of clean it up and make it simple for you, okay? So here's the deal. This right here can produce 70-mile-an-hour damaging straight-line winds. These storms, this one doesn't have a warning yet. I think we need to watch that in Sullivan. And then this storm in Jefferson County can produce probably quarter-size hail.
Quarter-size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. There are no additional tags on that storm.
There's clearly some rotation. I'm going to double-check that. It looks like it from, you really shouldn't be able to say clearly based on, see, I shouldn't have said that. Because it's not. It's not significant rotation. It may be rotating up aloft a little bit. I mean, there's a little, let's see if that lines up. Yeah, it does. There is a tiny bit of low-level rotation right here, just northeast of Richwoods. And what that is this tail right here. So still a storm to watch, but nothing significant, no tornado warning. Main threat is going to be for damaging wind and some hail. This thing's north of DeSoto, and this one, instead of moving east, I wouldn't be surprised, is this lifting to the north? Northeast. So let's get a track on this.
I'm saying northeast at 30, Steve.
30, okay. Because this is going to hit, High Ridge, maybe clipping Eureka, Fenton, Arnold, going to come your way. So we're here on the live stream, live storm mode coverage. We'll pop back in on Channel 4 as needed. The newest severe thunderstorm warning is in Jefferson County. Potential for quarter-size hail and 60-mile-an-hour winds. And you said 35 miles per hour, right? That puts it in Cedar Hill pretty much now. Antonia in about 9 minutes. You'll see a picture from Rolla, too, by the way, on the screen. We're checking in with our MoDOT cams down there. They have heavy rain, high winds. The tornado threat, the rotation, has actually lifted a little bit north of Rolla. Barnard, about 15 minutes. Arnold in about 21 minutes. I mentioned Fenton, that would be in a half hour. It's a little guy, it's isolated, but these little storms out ahead of the main cluster of storms can turn severe, also can produce isolated tornadoes. So got to watch that closely. Well, the other thing too, which will be telling here, is as this moves up into the metro, especially as it hits like South St. Louis County and the city, this is an area that got hit by storms earlier. So the question is, has the atmosphere had time to recharge here so that this can maintain its strength? Or does this come in and all of a sudden hit a wall where there's just not a lot of storm fuel and weaken? It's going to be telling to watch that closely. Some areas south of St. Louis didn't get hit or didn't have as much cloud cover, broke back out into some sunshine, and they have more storm fuel. No severe thunderstorm warning on the storm near Sullivan.
Although I do have them on input too, and there's some kind of interesting looking.
No doubt.
I say interesting, more just kind of scary looking clouds.
Right.
That,
Yep, no doubt. I mean, that lowered base right there, most likely that's rain in the white that's actually in the distance, and then this is out ahead of it, and that would be like almost like a shelf cloud. No, that would be a shelf cloud right there. And as I look, you see a little bit of lightning too. And as I look closely, I don't see any rotation. But like what we would look for is like if that started to drift down, right? That lowering base. And then the other thing is you need to know if it's rotating, because you can have a wall cloud, that lowering base, that's not rotating. And usually that's an indication of a really strong updraft. Those can produce hail. But that's Missouri Baptist Medical Center on the BJC Skycam network. Do you mind panning it a little to the right as well for me?
Let me pull that back up.
I'll go back to that in a second, but I want to. For our friends in southern Reynolds County, there's a tornado warning outside of our coverage area right here, but that could clip the southern tip of Reynolds County. So I just saw that. Let me switch over to the Doppler winds. It's going to be difficult because it's so far away from the radar, but if I switch over to this, it might be a little more helpful. And I'm going to put the speed on this. That's going to be a little faster. We're going to put that at about 45 to 50 miles per hour. So Ellington maybe in 43 minutes. And on that trajectory, probably near and south of Ellington. But that southern tip of Reynolds County, south of Centerville, near and maybe south of Ellington.
Steve, if you want to go back to that Sullivan cam, I've moved it to the east for you. It's a interesting cloud formation.
Yeah. So what we're doing is we've got a new severe thunderstorm warning here in Jefferson County, a storm that does not have a severe thunderstorm warning on it right now near Sullivan, but has exhibited some rotation. It's still exhibiting some interesting rotation, not strong enough to produce a tornado. And what you're looking at is shelf cloud here, heavy rain right here. So that's the downpour. And then what happens is that air comes out, it lifts the warm, humid air out ahead of it, and it creates that little shelf cloud there. What I'll be looking for is to see if there's any air as it's rising up, spinning. I don't see that, but all that darkness right down near the ground there, that is rain.
Looks scary, but
no, it does.
But yeah, it's
SLC, scary looking
scary
cloud.
looking clouds. Typically harmless, but it's awfully scary looking.
But what we're looking for is, and by the way, that can still produce some strong winds. But what we'd be looking for is, as air is going up, is it rotating? And no indications of that from that right now. Looks nasty though, that's for sure. And again, that's a storm that does not have a severe thunderstorm warning on it. There's the hail tracker. And
hey, I just wanted to mention for our friends in Phelps County, I'm in the chat with the Springfield office, and they mentioned regarding the northern end of that line near Rolla that's not currently in a warning. And this sort of echoes what you've been saying. They're not really seeing enough to issue a new tornado warning downstream. Now that could change, but as of right now, not really seeing enough there to extend that tornado warning.
Okay, that's good to hear. It's one of the reasons why I haven't been staying and focusing on Rolla, because that the rotation moved north of you, and it's much weaker in this section right here. There's a couple areas where, you know, the air's moving around and can rotate. It doesn't mean that it's producing a tornado, but it definitely grabs our eye. One is in southern Gascony County. Let's see what that looks like. Right here. And You see the red there. It's not real strong, but there's a little red there. Those are outbound, so that's wind going that way. The green, inbound, that's air going that way. So there'll be a little rotation there in that southwestern corner.
While we're not on TV right now, I'm just going to slide you over a little bit, make the bosses happy.
Okay,
There you go.
yeah, thank you. I've got this new workstation that allows me to stay with you.
We're figuring it out as we go.
Yeah, exactly, on the live stream and on air, and I can easily point to stuff, but we're getting used to it, okay? The rotation on that Sullivan storm, I mean, it's just not warranting, well, it doesn't even have a severe thunderstorm warning on it. So that's really good. Most likely what that is you've got air going away, and this would be air going towards. So let me see what the radar looks like. So that's probably caused by this heavy downpour that's created some wind going that way and wind going that way, divergence. So not rotation. Now, this thing could strengthen. It's one of those little guys, isolated storm out ahead of the main line, but definitely something they need to watch. Cuba has been hit by the main line. The main line I'm talking about, right, by the way, is right here. And I'll tell you what, is that warning gone? It's not quite gone yet. They really shrunk it down. They did keep Raleigh in it. And most likely the reason they kept Raleigh in it is because even though we're not seeing the rotation there, the rotation kind of skirted up to the north.
They're saying it's 7 miles northwest of Raleigh.
So this whole thing kind of curls around like this, and they're probably keeping an eye on any further development. Here's the deal, though. We're coming up on News 4 at 4 o'clock, so I'm going to get ready to be on air with you. In the meantime, we've seen the urgency of that tornado warning really decrease. We'll continue to track it. In about 7 minutes, we'll be on News 4 with any updates, and of course, all those other severe thunderstorm warnings that are out there. This is a big picture view here. We've got a bow echo line of damaging winds, and then a couple storms out ahead of it that could produce some severe weather, one of which is in Jefferson County that's headed towards Arnold and eventually into St. Louis. I'll have complete recap and an update for you coming up on News 4 at 4 o'clock. Hope you can join us then.